Adrian's taking a day off, and you're doing SportsCenter, can you at least make it sound like you're not mourning the loss of somebody? I mean, God Almighty, Alberto, and
it's not a start if I don't go bad.
Listen, and this is the thing, okay? Honest to God, some people, I guess, it's not for them. So you tell me, if SportsCenter is not for you, and we got to run the national update to the top of the hour, I'm fine with that. It's okay. It's okay. But holy smokes, what a beginning to the show. It was wild, man. It was wild.
Rocky as can be. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
You all right? I mean, like, seriously, are you,
I'm fine.
Because we have 2 hours today. Like, I want to make sure.
2 hours.
And then poor George is next to you in the studio, and this is...
He stepped out, but
Good, I'm happy he stepped out.
The Rocky start.
Oh, he did witness that? I was hoping he didn't. I was hoping maybe he went to the toilet and missed that start. You didn't have to hear that.
He missed the worst part. So.
I got to tell Adrian, look, Adrian's off today. He's not even supposed to work on Wednesdays. But if he's in the background listening, Adrian, it was without a doubt, by far and away. I gotta just get him in here just for the first minute of the show. That was incredible, like incredible. So, wow. I'm afraid to look at Twitter and my phone after that.
Esteban's going to be on a rant.
Everybody is. Here's the thing. Chad sent me the gif of a train on a bridge that completely just derails and falls right off the bridge and just collapses one by one in just a massive pile. That's exactly what it sounded like to me. I mean, I'm afraid to look at the messages. 5 Points guy. He does sound like he doesn't want to be there. I'm telling you.
Wow.
I know it.
I didn't think I sounded like that.
Whoa.
I thought I just sounded like a train wreck.
Both. Both. First off, you sounded depressed starting the update.
Well, I'm not. I'm
okay.
not.
All right. Well, listen. I mean, you only get one more shot. I'm definitely not doing the bottom of the hour SportsCenter with you. The hell no on that. But 5 o'clock hour is the last hour we have. Now, we're supposed to run the Dallas Cowboys updates. You might actually get bailed out today. That might thankfully only be the first and last SportsCenter you have to worry about today. So, but just out of curiosity, like when you're doing these updates, I know you don't do them very often, but like, can you at least try to get me into your head a little bit about what's going on?
Okay. First, I do pick the stories.
Okay.
And I'm in here. Boom, and I'm structuring them. I'm like, I'm going to go like this, like this, like this. Like
Good,
this,
that's what you should be doing. That's the part of it, yeah.
I'm going to bring up, okay, this is about fantasy, and then it's just a domino effect.
Are you the kind of person, though, like when you have a screw up and something goes wrong, like it's immediately in your head while you're doing the rest of the update and you just can't shake it?
I didn't think so, but I guess so. I don't know. But all
right. I just had.
But the thing is, like, sometimes I'll have good ones and I feel good, but then sometimes they're complete train wrecks, and that's the thing. I need to get more middle ground. But
you do. I mean, please believe me. That's 100%. Well, listen, just get the Cowboys update ready for us at 5 o'clock. John Teicher's coming at 6 for UTEP football with Scotty Walden. I got a busy show today. I got Jay Jaffe coming up a little bit later to talk baseball with us in our 4 o'clock hour and beer. Then Jeff at 5, Jeff Erickson from RotoWire, right at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. And then how about this? You know who's going to be joining Lane Frank today on the program inside the 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studios today?
Ooh, I heard it was a surprise.
Well, the surprise is out. Joe Golding's going to be here.
Oh, that's a good.
He's going to pick NFL games against Lane today. I mean, we'll get as many in as we can. Hopefully, we can get the whole weekend. But yeah, Lane needs a little redemption after getting waxed by Adrian this past week. Another bad week for Lane because Adrian owns him. He just outpicks him. Is what it comes down to.
Adrian gave him the business. Well, what was the score?
Well, they each picked they picked the same games except for 4, and of the 4, Adrian picked 3 of the 4 games that they disagreed. So he had he lost on the Titans. Actually, I'm sorry. Was this the first week? No, this was the right. He lost on the Titans. Lane had the Titans had the Jets over the Titans, but Adrian had the Vikings over the 49ers. He had the Seahawks over the Patriots. and he also had the Cardinals over the Rams. Adrian picked against his Rams. How about that?
He must have known something. Must have had a little insider knowledge.
That's pretty good. So anyway, great start to the show today. I'm thrilled for the next 2 hours that we've got coming up for you. So anyway, that's going to be happening. And I'll talk about this with Jay Jaffe coming up here in a little bit. I saw last night. I was watching this game live because I'm in a fantasy baseball finals, and a lot of money's on the line for this league. It's a out of town league I play in, and I'm in the finals. And one of my pitchers last night was Luis Gil of the New York Yankees. And he has a 2-0 lead in the first. Yankee fans will know what I'm talking about. 2-0 lead in the first. Gil hits a batter and then proceeds to walk two and get 2 outs. So just picture this. You're a baseball fan, right? Bases loaded, 2 outs, first inning. You're up 2-0. And Justin Turner's up to the plate. And Justin Turner has a 3-0 count. And Luis Gil's not even close. Like, he is missing badly. And he's throwing a lot of pitches, and all of a sudden, it looks like he's going to unravel in the first inning, and the Yankees are going to be in for a long game against the Mariners. And then something happens that I've never seen before, and I'll probably never see again. Victor Robles, who was at third base, tried to steal home while Gil wasn't even on the mound yet, getting ready to deliver the pitch. Like, he had gotten the ball, he was at the bottom of the rubber, and just kind of, walking, getting ready to go back on. And just like that, Robles broke for home. And Gil threw it home. They tagged him out. He got out of the inning. Justin Turner couldn't believe it. He looked stunned. And it had to be, without a doubt, one of the single dumbest plays I've ever seen in the history of watching Major League Baseball. Like, who is dumb enough to try to steal home when the count is 3-0 with the bases loaded and 2 outs and the starting pitcher can't find home plate? Like, how do you bail someone out of that jam? And then, what do you think happened? Gil settled down, pitched 5 innings. The Yankees scored 10 runs and just annihilated the Mariners. And I just watched this game going, well, first off, from a fantasy standpoint, I was thrilled. Saved my fantasy team last night. Instead of probably getting negative points and Gil having an awful start, the Yankees ended up getting out of the inning. They won 11-2. 11-2 last night. And I said, I've seen a lot of stupidity in my life. That has to be the king of the stupids. I'll ask Jay Jaffe when I see him and talk to him next. If that is the single dumbest play he's ever seen in baseball, because I think it could very well be, because it made no sense. None. Who? And by the way, if you ever try this in Little League Baseball as a coach, please don't do this to your kids. Don't send them home and try to steal home when you've got a 3-0 count with 2 outs and the base is loaded. Why would you do that? I mean, I still can't believe it. Still couldn't believe it. And Yankee fans couldn't believe it. Everybody's like, did he just really do that? They tried to steal home for no reason. Anyway, that was what I watched last night. And I thought that was insane. So,
are you going to win in your fantasy league?
I don't know.
Is it close? Or
it's a 2-week battle. It was last week and this week.
Okay.
I had a 17-point lead after last week, and I'm up 12 this week, so I got like a 30-point cushion. But all it takes is a couple of bad starts from your aces, and you could lose. And this is a big week for me. I mean, this is the one league of all the fantasy leagues I play in, and I think I told you on the radio I play like 8 or 9 leagues. This is the league that matters the most. Like, this is the best. This league has the best payout. I've been, lucky enough to at least finish in the black every year since I joined, and this is the league I get most excited about. So I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like yesterday that was a good sign. That I felt much better after watching what happened, and at the same time shook my head and say, did that really happen? Because I couldn't believe it. So
that's pretty good. I mean, so you feel. I'm glad you feel good. I have over 8 fantasy football leagues, and in the ones that matter most, I'm 0-2.
Okay, well, that's a problem.
It hurts. And
do the ones that matter most pay out good money?
I think one is lunch and one is like $500.
One is lunch?
Yeah.
You're playing for lunch? All right. No.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, I'm happy you say that matters. I guess it does. That's good.
You're just 0-2 is not good. And that comes with a lot of bragging rights on the other side.
Wait, do you have to buy lunch for everybody in the league if you lose? Oh, that's a rough league.
That is a rough league.
How many people are in the league?
It's a 12-man.
Yeah, so you're probably looking at about a $200 lunch if you lose.
Yes, I am. And then in Michael Plundo's, I think I'm like 1-1.
All right. Well, you got to just get it
going.
To
turn it around.
That's right. Well, listen. People have had bad luck. If you have Puka Nacua, you're out. If you have Cooper Kupp, you're out. I have
Christian McCaffrey in my dynasty league that I created.
That's a problem too. But who would have expected that? Nobody thought. Nobody knows who's. You see, listen. If there's one thing you can't control in sports, it's injuries. You don't know when guys are going to get hurt and how long they're going to be out. You just don't know. All right. Anyway, we've got a lot in store for you on the program today. Excited about the rest of the show. Excited about Jay Jaffe. Excited about Jeff Erickson. And, of course, excited about Lane Frank and Joe Golding. And then John Teicher is going to join us at 6 o'clock from Border City Ale House, where I was Monday. John's there today. 1506 Lee Trevino. So head on down to UTEP football with Scotty Walden. They'll preview the game against Colorado State. I'm sure they'll have guests for you. Brand new food menu at the Ale House. That was exciting, having an opportunity to see their all-new redesigned menu on Monday. So you can go ahead and check that out as well. So just a lot of good things happening today. Let's get it started. We've got right now Charlie 1 with traffic, and then we'll come back with Jay Jaffe talking a little baseball and beer right here, 600 ESPN El Paso. All right, back as we continue, 20 past the hour right now here on Sports Talk. Time to talk a little baseball and beer with this man. He is Jay Jaffe joining us from Fangraphs.com. You can follow him on Twitter at J_Jaffe. All right, welcome back, my friend. Good to have you on the show. And I'll tell you what, I went to Fangraphs and I noticed there was an article from Davey Andrews today about Victor Robles talking about how he has been nothing short of a superstar with Seattle since he arrived from Washington. And yet I saw a play last night, Jay, that I talked about before I brought you on. It, without a doubt, trying to steal home when Justin Turner had a 3-0 count with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the top of the first against the Yanks yesterday. Listen, I've seen a lot of strange things in my lifetime when I'm watching baseball. That was a new one, and I don't know if I'll ever see anything quite like that again.
Yeah, I didn't see it at the time. I tuned into the game a little bit later, and they mentioned it obliquely, and it was only this morning that I actually got a look at it. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" It didn't really make a lot of sense to be stealing in that light. In that situation, obviously, anytime you steal home and get thrown out, it looks bad. He thought he had caught Luis Heel napping while he was grabbing the rosin bag. He's an aggressive base runner. I believe he'd gone 25 for 25 in stolen bases since joining the Mariners. But he was playing with fate there, and he obviously I'm not words. It's tough to capture in words just how silly that looked.
No doubt.
In the end, especially after he got hit on the hand too, and he went out to the mound and put his hand around Heel or whatever to tell him he was okay, and he thought the ball got away. So just a very weird sequence all around.
Yeah, the whole thing was strange, but the Yankees did what they always do, and that is put a ton of runs on a really good pitcher in Brian Wu last night. In fact, when you look at that performance, it was so impressive, and you also realize the kind of season that Aaron Judge is having. He had 4 more RBIs yesterday, one of the toughest outs in baseball. I think I saw a stat that he's got like 27 more runs batted in over every single player in baseball. That's just how good Aaron Judge has been.
Yeah, it helps having Juan Soto hitting ahead of you when it comes to racking up those RBIs, because you got a guy who's got a 417 on base percentage. But right now, Aaron Judge is the best hitter on the planet. bar none. And he's having a tremendous season, right on par with the one he had 2 years ago when he hit 62 home runs and set an American League record. His slugging percentage is a few points higher than that year. His on-base percentage is about 30 points higher than that year. So it's an even better season by everything but the actual home run total. Very impressive stuff from him, and he's doing it while playing center field. A pretty demanding position. He's not the world's greatest center fielder, but he's good enough. And that 1-2 punch with him and Soto has carried the Yankees to the league's best record, and looks like they're in a pretty good spot right now. 4 games up on the Orioles with 11 to play, so probably going to get them a first-round bye.
I think about what the Yankees have had over the years. It started with Ruth and Gehrig in the 20s and 30s. And then you had Maris and Mantle in the 60s. And now here we are, 60 years later, and we're dealing with Judge and Soto for at least one season. Yankee fans are hoping that it'll be more. And I'm just curious, from a historical context, when you look at these two as a duo, will they go down as one of the most dominant 1-2 punches in baseball history when it's all said and done?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the possibility that it's only going to be a one-year thing certainly will prevent it from gaining the kind of legendary status that say that Ruth and Gehrig did, because they were teammates for so long. But statistically, you look at just how good they are, and I think it's been there's just not many situations, if any, where you've got two hitters that are so far above the league in terms of their rate stats that they stand out to that extent. I mean, there's only so many guys who've had seasons even like Juan Soto, and to say nothing of Judge. So this is a very impressive duo, and they've done a lot to cover for a lot of the Yankee offense's other shortcomings.
You're absolutely right. And meanwhile, while the Yanks have caught fire, they're 4 games over Baltimore right now. In fact, they get the best record in the American League, and they have, I think, the third best record overall in baseball behind the Dodgers and the Phils. Their crosstown rivals, the Mets, find themselves right now second place behind the Phils. They've won 2 in a row, and believe it or not, the New York Mets have a 2-game lead over the Atlanta Braves for the final wild card spot. So here we are on the 18th of September. If the season ended today, both the Mets and Yankees get into the playoffs.
Yeah, that would certainly make for a busy first part of October for me if I'm going to be covering at least one of those teams in the postseason. So we'll see what happens. Fortunately, we've got two staffers with BBWA cards here, including my colleague, associate editor Matt Martell. So I'm not sure how we'll divide and conquer yet, but a very good chance I'll be at least covering a few games here while these teams are in it.
Meanwhile, you look at the job that Mendy's done with the Mets. It's really impressive. There's no doubt about it. I didn't know what to expect, and I heard good things about all the time he spent with the Yankee organization, but he took a team that was going absolutely nowhere for the first couple of months, turned into one of the better teams in baseball, and now trying to navigate through with the Francisco Lindor injury and, young Acuna, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s brother, who's in the game up with the Mets for the first time as a young shortstop, Luce Angel Acuna. It's been a fun story, and the Mets just they keep on hitting.
Yeah, they are. The way this team has turned it around from being 11 games under 500 as of June 2nd to having snuck into a wild card position is impressive, and the arrival of Jose Iglesias and the way he became a sudden pop star with his OMG recording is kind of he's become sort of a mascot for the team there in that regard, a rallying cry, if you will. And the way that they've done this without ostensibly their best starting pitcher, Kodai Senga, limited to 1 start this year due to injuries, and all of this happening a year after they traded away Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander at the deadline and looked like they were going to settle for a retooling year. But things have really come together. thanks to the development of guys like Francisco Alvarez and Mark Vientos, and just Lindor having just a fantastic season. Although it's got to be killing them right now that he can't play due to this lower back troubles. But they're hopeful that they're going to get him back soon.
Jay Jaffe with us talking baseball here on Sports Talk as we continue. Beer a little bit later. How about Milwaukee? Third NL Central title in the last 4 years, and this time they do it with Pat Murphy, the former Chihuahuas manager who was here for the first couple seasons in El Paso back in 2014 and 2015. Then he got called up to San Diego. They let him go after he didn't really pass his audition with the Padres that season, and gets picked up as a first base coach for Craig Counsell. And next thing you know, he's managing the team, and now he's got an 87-64 mark to go into the postseason.
Yeah, impressive job. I mean, the Brewers just on paper they never look like they're going to be the team that wins the Central, but they have just had tremendous success over the last several years. They've done a very good job of coming up with good starting pitching. They've done this. They traded away Corbin Burns. They had Christian Yelich. Having one of his best seasons in a good long time for a while, but his back gave out, and he had surgery and is done for the year. And they don't have the kind of star power from him, but Jackson Chourio, the rookie, has come up, and he has been just absolutely fantastic. 21 homers, 20 steals. Willie Adames has had a great season as their shortstop. It's a fun team, and they've run away with the Central here.
They really have. And again, thinking about what Milwaukee can do in the playoffs without Christian Yelich, I'm interested to see. I really am, especially with the Dodgers and what we've seen from Shohei. How about that? 48-48. He's heading to a 50-50 season if he can connect on a couple of home runs. I feel like the stolen bases is the easy part. The home runs are a little tougher. But once again, Jay, he is in uncharted waters right now. And when you're that close to a 50-50 season, I don't want to see him stuck at 48-48 or 49-49. I want to see him do something no one's ever done before.
Yeah, well, 48-48 has never been done before either.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the same ring like 50-50.
We like round numbers.
Yes,
I get it. We all like round numbers. But,
yeah, that's true.
But I think the previous high for somebody doing both was like 42 home runs and steals.
Okay.
So he's already gone where nobody has gone before, and it's been impressive. And I think he's got a pretty good shot at doing this. Certainly, he has been. He can control when he runs, but it's like I feel like every time I turn on my TV, he's hitting a home run. It's just been fantastic, and there's a lot of extra wear and tear on the body to steal 50 bases. So I don't think we're going to see this kind of base running next year when he's trying to pitch as well, coming back from his second UCL reconstruction, but. The way he's adapted to this and taken on this challenge has been something to behold.
Jay Jaffe with us here on Sports Talk as we continue on the program. A few weeks ago you wrote about the Padres and the job they've done so far this season. 20 games over 500. They're 86 and 66. They're the number one wild card team right now with a couple of weeks left to go in the season. And considering how A.J. Preller has always taken chances at the deadline, and they haven't always panned out for him. Actually, they've never panned out until they are right now. This group seems a little different. This group seems special, and if they could stay healthy going into the playoffs, the Padres are one of the more interesting postseason teams that Major League Baseball is going to have.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's they've been. This is what Preller's been trying for. I mean, the 22 team was a lot of fun. This team might be better. They've certainly, I think, gotten some breaks lately in the health department with Yu Darvish coming back, with Joe Musgrove coming back, with Fernando Tatis Jr. coming back. They're close to full strength. They don't have Ha-Seong Kim right now, who's still dealing with a shoulder issue, and lately they've had Xander Bogaerts playing shortstop for the first time in a while. But this is a good team, and they've zoomed to the top of the wild card rankings. They put a scare into the Dodgers. They hold the tiebreaker over the Dodgers if they could actually draw close enough to match their win total. They're 4 games back in the loss column here. So it's going to be very interesting to see here. The Dodgers don't have this sewn up, although I believe they can clinch a playoff spot tonight. But we'll see what happens.
Let's talk about another interesting situation you wrote about at Fangraphs here yesterday, and that's the Minnesota Twins. You talked about the situation with Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, but right now how in that AL wildcard race, what a battle for that final spot right now between Minnesota and Detroit. Just a game and a half is separating the two right now. Tigers have won 3 in a row, 8 of their last 10, so they have jumped right into the wildcard picture at 79 and 73, and you're right, Minnesota is kind of hanging on. Want to see if they're going to be able to survive going into the postseason.
Yeah, I wrote about the Twins yesterday, and they just got Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa back, and those are probably their 2 best players of all. And both were playing very well this year, but Buxton missed time due to hip inflammation, missed about a month, and Correa missed about 2 months due to plantar fasciitis. He had plantar fasciitis in the other foot last year. This was a more severe bout, and so I know it had to be kind of frustrating to all the wait and see about when he was coming back. And, Manager Rocco Baldelli acknowledged that both of them are at less than 100%, but they were running out of time. They didn't take any rehab assignments. Buxton got pulled back from his, and both of them just spent their time working out under the watchful eyes of the Twins coaches and training staff, and just went right at it. And so they're not expected to play every single day, but they can help a team that really is desperate right now. The Twins went into yesterday having lost 18 out of 27. As for the Tigers, I mean, so impressive what they're doing. I mean, they traded away Jack Flaherty. They've got the likely AL Cy Young winner in Tarek Skubal, but the rest of their rotation, they're piecing it together with openers, and it's a pretty good managing job by A.J. Hinch. I got to hand it to them. They've got a good young core. I didn't think they'd be in the playoff hunt this year, but they've pulled pretty close here.
Yeah, they have. We're talking with Jay Jaffe here on Sports Talk as we continue. I wasn't around in 1969 for the Mets World Series and the shoe polish game that involved them in Baltimore, but I did see last night with Jose Altuve tossed for removing his shoe and sock in the 9th inning. That is something you never see, but I guess he really wanted to show the umpires and specifically show them where the ball hit. So he took off his cleat, took off his sock, and home plate umpire Brennan Miller ejected him for that. And it was a wild scene at the end of that Astros game last night.
Yeah, it was. That was, right up there with the Victor Robles steal of home. Things you've never seen before. For a problem for Altuve is that play was not reviewable, and so he was understandably ticked off, and he still wanted to prove that he was right. I guess the umpire considered it an attempt to show him up, and so he tossed him. But it was a bizarre scene for sure. Don't
you feel, though, that in today's game, with instant replay and how it's evolved, that there should be more opportunities for plays like this to be reviewable, so that if there is something that could clearly, affect the end of a game, or a game for that matter, they should be able to look in the replay and note?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an argument to be made. We'll see, when we get, some form of automatic ball and strike implementation down the road here, assuming it's going to be a challenge system, which it sounds like is the way they're going to go, that something like this could be a situation where there is a challenge, and hopefully rectify, if there is a bad call.
What are you going to be writing about for us the rest of the week at Fangraphs?
Right now, I am writing about Craig Kimbrell's being designated for assignment by the Orioles.
Yep.
Kind of a surprising move, given that he spent the first half of their season as a pretty solid closer, and obviously has a strong reputation, but really had been struggling badly since around the All-Star break, and last night gave up 6 runs for the first time in his career, and the Orioles realized, hey, this guy's not going to help us this year. So writing about that, and writing about the battle for the bye teams, the top 2 teams in each league that are going to they don't have to play in the wild card series. So that's the rest of my week.
I haven't looked at your Jaws rankings for Craig Kimbrell, but does he appear favorable in terms of Hall of Fame closers?
Both he and Kenley Jansen, their cases are closely linked. They're not as strong as Billy Wagner on my reliever Jaws method, which has changed several times over the years. He's not quite as strong there, but they have stronger. They're stronger. Both of them are stronger on the traditional merits. They have Jansen's now 4th and Kimbrell 5th in saves, and those two have been going back and forth for a while. But Kimbrell losing his job, I think, may be the end of that chase. Wagner, I think, is 8th all-time in saves, something like that. Wagner only pitched briefly in the postseason and not well. Both Kimbrell and Jansen have won World Series, although they were not at their best during those championship runs. They did have some other big postseason moments. So, I think there's cases to be made for both of them. It's going to depend on how inclusive the electorate feels. I mean, there's a lot of controversy about why are we putting in guys that have 900 innings when you've got like an Andy Pettitte who put in 3,000 innings and was much more valuable over the course of that, and had his own, big highlights. Or you could pick any one of a number of pitchers besides Pettitte here. It doesn't have to be him, but starting pitchers, workhorses who were very good for a long time. Pettitte, Mark Burley on the ballot, another one. Why vote for a Wagner? Why vote for a Kimbrell? It's a decent argument, although I think we should be rewarding the best of the best when it comes to relievers as well as other positions.
I do want to mention something before we get to your beer pick of the week. Fangraphs has now started a paywall for their articles. You get 10 free articles every single month, and after that, you will need to subscribe. You can either subscribe monthly or subscribe annually. And Fangraphs, I've always said for years, has been probably the best free service you're ever going to find. But hey, they've given you so much for so long. I'm happy they're doing it. And whether it's monthly or annually, you get, after your 10 free, you need to subscribe for Fangraphs.com so you can read Jay and all the other great team when they put their articles together and work hard to deliver that content for you at Fangraphs.com. Jay, what about...
Thanks for mentioning that, Steve. I think as metered paywalls go, this is going to be a relatively painless one for most readers. If you're a daily reader, you probably should be paying us a little bit of money for membership. The ad-free facet of that really makes the site hum, and I think really improves the user experience. But
no doubt,
if you're just dropping by once a week, this probably isn't going to affect you. So. Do what you will.
There you go. Meanwhile, and by the way, if I recommend anything, recommend the annual subscription. It's by far and away the best deal you're going to get. So knock that out, and then you won't even have to think about monthly. You'll be all set and good to go. Jay, what about beer? Tell us our beer pick for the week.
Okay, this one comes from Torch and Crown in Manhattan. This is their House Ball Extra Special Bitter. Kind of a different style of beer than I usually have. This is an English style. Nice malty. I think it's 4.2% ABV. Really good session beer. One I like a lot. You don't see a lot of craft breweries doing ESBs, so it's nice to find one. Add some variety to the mix here, and they've done a good job with this.
Excellent. Again, Jay, enjoyed the conversation. We'll do it again with you right back here next week.
All right. sounds good. Thanks.
Jay Jaffe, as we continue here on Sports Talk. 43 past. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1. Esteban has been banging home on Twitter and X the entire conversation. I'll explain why next, right here, 600 ESPN El Paso. On Sports Talk as we continue, 10 in front of 5 o'clock right now. Alberto Dueta filling in today for Adrian Broadus. Our intern, George, is with us as well. Esteban's been tweeting throughout that entire interview. Like, I'm just going to break out of the Jay Jaffe interview to read one of Esteban's 5 or 6 tweets. To make a long story short, what he basically said was that you've been here long enough to be a pro at these Sports Center updates, and yet you still muck them up. And he threw his line that he really, really was proud of is apparently he's a Flabiano understudy. That was
a good one.
That was the money shot right there from Alberto.
That was the good one, but once he started putting it a lot, it wasn't as funny.
Here's my question. Okay, normally we do the Cowboys updates in the last hour, and since John's on at 6, we would have to do the Cowboys update next. Should we run the Cowboys update, or should we run a Sports Center update with you?
No, let's run a Sports Center update.
Yes?
Yes.
And punt on the Cowboys today?
Yes. And
really?
Let Esteban have
one last shot?
One last go.
Do you feel pretty confident that second time will be a charm?
I hope so. No, just kidding, yes.
You're going to call it Waj or Woj?
I'm not going to. I already touched on that story.
So you're not going to mention it again? What if somebody's listening to you at 5 and didn't hear you at 4? It's a big story.
That's true. We should hit the big ones again. Adrian
Wojnarowski is gone now at ESPN, going back to St. Bonaventure. That's a big story.
You're right.
I didn't think it was even real this morning. I thought somebody made it up.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, it is weird. Remember when you brought up trying to be the coach of the Miners? That's what it reminded me of. I was like, what? This can't be real.
I mean, me be coach of the Miners. What are you talking about?
You don't remember when you brought that up?
No. Did I want to be coach of the Miners?
No, you said that this is how I would do it, and then you went into how you would do it.
How I would coach the Miners?
Yes.
For football or basketball?
Basketball. You don't remember that?
No.
Yeah.
Before or after they hired Joe?
This was recently.
I said, and what do you mean? What was I going to do?
You were going to invest in coaches. You're going to take a huge salary cut.
Oh, yeah. I was going to take less money and have better coaches.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll ask Joe that one. I mean, he'll love that for me.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, would you like to cut $300,000 off your salary and go bring in better assistant coaches? Yeah, that'll go over well. That's a big one. Well, look, here's the deal. Joe's been coaching his whole life. I haven't. So obviously, if I was to get the job, I would have to make sure that I'm surrounded by the best people possible. Plus, having worked in radio all these years, it's not going to take $750,000 to make me happy. I could do it for a lot less money.
That's true.
Just think of all the fish sticks you could buy for $750,000.
Too many.
Lots. Forever.
Or how much Jack in the Box.
That's true, too. You could do that forever. So, yeah. All right. I'm looking forward to Lane Frank and Joe Golding going one-on-one this week, picking football games. That's going to be a lot of fun. It is. And by the way, Lane's coming by here. He'll be here. We got Jeff Erickson stopping off to begin our 5 o'clock hour, so that's going to be great as well. And, man, we're going to get one last Sports Center update from Alberto, who wants to redeem himself. I like that. I like it. And I'm excited for you. In fact, I can't wait to hear what it's going to sound like. And you know who else can't wait? Alberto.
Esteban.
Esteban cannot wait either.
Too.
Yeah, he's going to be excited. Now, I feel like when you've done this before on the show, you usually come through after the first time.
You think so? That's a good thing. I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope so.
Well,
I feel like
can't get any worse.
No, I don't think they can.
No, I think so too. I think you have to go up from here. So, all right. So we'll do that coming up here in a little bit right after this time out, and then we come back with Jeff Erickson. So, yeah, I'm excited about that. 505-6009, our telephone number. But it's going to be a busy hour. We got a lot to go. And then John Teicher's an hour away with UTEP football with Scotty Walden. That's going to be coming up from Border City Ale House, 1506 Lee Trevino. So I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about our next dining deal, folks. It's a good one. Tony's, the Pit Barbecue. If you've never been to Tony's, the Pit Barbecue on Myrtle, you got to check them out. They've been around since 1958. They have been doing brisket the same way for, almost 70 years. It's in 66 years, and you can take advantage. $50 to Tony's The Pit for just $25. It's available 10 a.m. starting Friday. Go into our dining deals page at 600ESPNElPaso.com.
From the 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Properties Schoolyard Sports Studio, here's Steve Kaplowitz and Adrian Broadus.
All right, hour number 2 of the show as we continue. Much better the second time around. We got Alberto Duetta here. We got George, our intern. And now we're going to begin the hour with Jeff Erickson talking some fantasy sports with you from our team at rotowire.com, your one-stop shop for fantasy sports. In fact, he just finished the RotoWire podcast moments ago, and you go from one right to another. Man, oh, man. That is an impressive display, and I can only imagine what you must have been talking about during the podcast here just a moment ago.
We were just having a good conversation about Dalton Kincaid and Kyle Pitts and all the disappointments at tight end right now.
There's a ton of them, aren't there? Really? When
oh, my goodness, Steve. Yeah. It's awful. I mean, unless you drafted George Kittle or of course, Brock Bowers, you're really unhappy with your premium tight end. Travis Kelce got 3 targets last week. Sam Laporta got 3 targets last week. Evan Ingram got hurt. Jake Ferguson got hurt. Kyle Pitts is like one week he's lining up in the slot and getting not targeted. One time he's lining up as a traditional tight end and not getting targeted. This week against the Chiefs will be a good test of that because the Chiefs are really giving up production against tight ends the first 2 weeks. So we'll see.
Meanwhile, Brock Bowers has been good. For a guy that was injured and we didn't even know what kind of an impact he would have out of the gate, he has become a very trendy target early on for that Vegas offense.
Yes, he has. Well, and part of it is, lack of competition. I mean, Jacoby Myers is a fine, helpful secondary wide receiver. But, he's not an alpha. And, obviously Adams is there, but Brock Bowers and Adams are kind of working well together there. And the thing is, Gardner Minshew, maybe not as much of a deep target sort of guy, so that kind of works in Bowers' favor as well. He's not going deep downfield on those targets.
No, that's true. And yet I also thought Mark Andrews bounced back from week 1. We saw so much of Isaiah Likely in that win, or I shouldn't say that win. It was a near win, but it was a great performance that a lot of us thought that Likely was going to be taking away a lot of Andrews' targets, but I thought that as Mark Andrews kind of settled in last week, he became more of the the alpha target we've seen for that Baltimore offense.
Yeah, and I kind of had a feeling that was going to be the case. I saw these huge bids on Likely in free agency in leagues where he was still available. And don't get me wrong, Likely's a good player, really good player. But Andrews was working his way back slowly. He's coming back from an injury, had the car accident in training camp, and it kind of sidelined him. It was kind of nebulous about his status because the Ravens, didn't have to put him on the official. There's no injury report in training camp in the preseason, whereas there is in the regular season where you have to kind of go through the practice regime. And all of a sudden we start to know a little bit more. Well, he's kind of working his way back slowly. He was more involved last week. Probably will be more involved going forward. Likely will have his games, and if Andrews ever does have a setback, all of a sudden, Likely is a top 10 tight end. But until then, it's just kind of be hit or miss.
You're right. And meanwhile, who's become more and more popular in the tight end game, and if you drafted him early, you're really reaping the benefits? That's Trey McBride out in Arizona.
Yeah, he's another one that's been fine. He got a lot of targets last week. Week 1, not as great, but then he also fell on a fumble too for a touchdown, which was always nice. So you get a little extra bonus there for him. But yeah, McBride, you're feeling pretty comfortable with. Again, you've got an alpha receiver in Marvin Harrison, and then you've got some support guys in Dorsch and Wilson. They're not. So, McBride becomes the number 2 target at worst in that offense.
There was a lot of people concerned after week 1 with Harrison. You mentioned him a moment ago. He broke out in a huge way in that first half this past week against the Rams.
Yeah, he sure did. My favorite play wasn't the 2 touchdowns were awesome, but my favorite play, I think, was the scramble drill play where he juked the safety so bad to get behind him and get open deep. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really was. We're talking right now with Jeff Erickson from RotoWire, kind of recapping everything that's gone on. Justin Jefferson had a big week last week against San Francisco. We know he's got the right quad injury. You tell me, how concerned should fantasy players be with the game coming up against Houston?
So Jefferson, there's some good news on him. He did the walkthrough portion of today's practice, officially listed as limited. Jordan Addison didn't practice at all, meanwhile, but they're hopeful that Jefferson will be able to ramp up. That's what Kevin McConnell said today, that he'll be able to ramp up later as the week goes on. It's a quad contusion. He may end up on the injury list when they come out with the official list, whether he's questionable. Probably listed as questionable. Remember, probable doesn't exist anymore. It's either questionable, doubtful, or out, or not on at all. So we'll watch that one there. I think as long as he's listed questionable or better, he's probably going to go. Big game this week against Houston. Kind of a prove-it game for both teams. I mean, the one good thing for Minnesota is they've got these two banked wins. They got a win at home against the Niners, against one of their tougher opponents. It's a non-conference game, so across, not like in the, it's not only is it non-divisional, but it's not even in the NFC. So this might be, if there's any reason for precaution, maybe that would be the reason to do that. But I'm feeling pretty good about Jefferson.
Who benefits the most in the San Francisco offense with Deebo Samuel out right now with the calf injury?
George Kittle. I think he's the guy. He's my number one tight end this week. He's already been producing for us. I think he will get even more targets this week against the Rams. Our big concern might be that it's a blowout against the Rams, who have all sorts of injury concerns on both sides of the ball. If you're looking for a sneaky pickup, Jawan Jennings is a guy that I think could be usable. Deeper leagues probably, but you can still use him. I have a couple leagues where we start 3 receivers a flex. I have another one where you start 2 flexes. In those situations, Jennings can be pretty helpful for our purposes.
All right. Meanwhile, other injury news I'd like to get to on the show, and that is with the situation right now for Christian McCaffrey. Here's a guy that was being drafted, top 3 right up until the season started. What a rough break for a lot of fantasy owners that took the gamble and brought McCaffrey on board.
Absolutely. And the fact is the Niners knew all along. Right? I mean, this is the thing. They use every ounce of precaution language and things of that nature there. And it turns out, oh, wait, he was really hurt. He had the Achilles tendonitis. It's not just, it's connected to the calf. So it's kind of like one of those things where you get it that it's okay, it's calf, it's Achilles. Anytime you use the word Achilles, it's like this red button hot issue here. So I get it. But yeah, and even leading up to week 1, they knew on Friday night. Jordan Mason knew on Friday night he was starting. Yeah. Would it have killed anybody to report that? Would it? Was this omerta to fantasy owners there? They were sworn to secrecy, couldn't announce until Monday. Really, it destroyed a lot of teams. The problem was they could have said something like the Eagles did on Sunday morning, saying A.J. Brown is out. Let us know so we can pivot. And in most leagues, we couldn't pivot. It was really frustrating.
Are you buying the offense we've seen so far in the first couple of weeks from New Orleans and thinking that the Saints, skill players are just going to keep racking up 30, 40-plus points a game?
I mean, Kubiak is, doing a great job introducing a bunch of pre-snap motion, a lot more play action than they did last year with their archaic offense that they had last year. I want to see it. They got an interesting, tough schedule coming up. But I thought the Cowboys game was a tough matchup. Given what the Cowboys did against the Browns the previous week, I'm impressed. I think it could end up being a little bit like the Dolphins situation, where they're so dynamic in the first half of the season. There's more of it gets out on tape, and as it gets out on tape, teams devise ways to try to slow it down, if not stop it. And you'll probably see lesser returns later on in the season. But, I think these are real improvements. And it's proof that, most teams, the top players are really good players. And if you put them in the right system and the right setup, and the offensive line does its job, and that's a big caveat right there,
yep.
Then I think that you'll see some modicum of success. It shows that Alvin Kamara wasn't dust. I think we see that now, that he was in a totally terrible situation last year. And we see also that, Derek Carr is not Captain Checkdown after all.
And what we also see right now is that there's not a single Dallas Cowboys running back in your top 30. That's what happened after that game yesterday, last week.
See, we saw Deuce Vaughn in the first quarter.
I know.
The Cowboys don't really have a good feel for it, right?
No, they don't.
that Dalvin Cook isn't getting activated off the practice squad. I think that's kind of a sign, too, that, hey, he may not be the answer after all. And let that be a lesson to you out there who went out and got Kareem Hunt and waivers, that he might not be the answer for the Chiefs either. So we'll see.
Who do you like for the Chiefs right now? Who is the answer with Pacheco out?
There is no answer. That's the problem. I think there's Mr. Right now, not Mr. Right. I think Carson Steele will probably get a plurality of the work, if not the majority. If I had to rank someone highest this week, it would be Steele. I go Steele, P. Ryan, but I think you're going to see more jet sweeps from like Xavier Worthy and Mecole Hardman and even Rashee Rice, maybe some quick hitters and things of that nature. I don't think it's even a great matchup against the Falcons on Sunday night either, for that matter. I'd rather not have to start any of those Chiefs backs this week.
By the way, Michael Martinez just got in and wants to know quarterback-wise, do you go with C.J. Stroud or Kyler Murray this week?
First world problem there. My goodness.
Yeah, it is.
I would look to make a trade because they're going to both be great all season. I've got Murray over Stroud this week, 5 and 6. Yeah, that's inefficient roster usage right there. You need to be. I imagine it's like a keeper league or something of that nature is why he has both of those. But someone in your league is hurting at quarterback right now. They may have just lost their quarterback to injury. They may have just lost Tua. I would go, target that Tua owner right now and say, hey, I've got 2 great quarterbacks. What can you give me? And maybe you get lowballed, maybe you won't, but at least it's worth the breakdown there to see what you can do.
What a disappointment Trevor Lawrence has been the first couple weeks of the season.
Yeah, well, what a disappointment the Jaguars as a whole, too. I mean, I think that offensive, we're talking offensive line with the Saints and how they've been doing well. The Jaguars' offensive line's awful. It's really struggling right now. The pass game is a disappointment. I think they need to involve Brian Thomas even more than they have so far, but that requires time for the deep routes to open up. The question is, can Thomas run all those intermediate routes right now? Christian Kirk has been just an utter disappointment. Losing Evan Ingram right before kickoff last week probably hurt them a lot. It's 2 weeks in a row we've had the surprise injury note. At least with Ingram, it actually happened in pregame warmups. Can't blame the Jaguars for this one here. But yeah, it changes things quite a bit. I think it's going to be pretty ugly at Buffalo on Monday night.
I saw your colleague Jim Coventry say for Locker Week 3 picks this week at RotoWire.com. One of his picks is Aaron Jones, more than 53.5 rushing yards.
Well, you may have to before you lock that one in. Jones didn't practice today, so watch on that one there. I know he's your guy. We love him, but
he gets hurt.
He was hurt a lot last year,
yep.
So that's something to kind of watch for to make sure he's okay. He was going to score on that play last week. He's got a hip issue. I'm sorry, he was limited. I'm sorry, I misspoke a little bit. He was there, but he was limited. But he also missed most of the fourth quarter in that win over the Niners too. So watch out for that a little bit there, because his teammate Ty Chandler looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And they could pivot to him and give Jones a rest this week. So watch that one first.
What did they say with the rib injury? Did they say are they just calling it a bruise right now?
Well, they declared it a hip today, which is interesting.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think we're going to find more details over the course of the week. I haven't, they've been kind of purposely vague so far.
Got it. Hey, let's talk about RotoWire.com, what you've got going on with your value meter and some of the other great stories that are up there right now for our readers.
You bet. Thanks. Every late night, Tuesday night, I post my weekly rankings. Call it the Value Meter. It's rankings for you to help you set your lineup for every week. We've got multiple free agent waiver wire articles, some for like standard leagues, others for deep leagues, trying to kind of go under the radar for some of these pickups. We've got snap breakdowns for running backs, for wide receivers, routes run, all that. Jerry Donabinian does great work there. Later in the week, Mario Puig will do his wide receiver versus cornerback breakdown. Get some good nuggets there if you're trying to find out a good matchup for that last spot in your roster or for DFS. You check it all out, rotowire.com/free. Get a free peek behind the paywall. No credit card required for 2 days. The trial lasts 2 days. No credit card is required for that trial period. If you want to subscribe, we would love for you to do that, but you don't have to worry about like putting in a credit card to get the trial.
Perfect. I appreciate it. And as always, Jeff, enjoy the conversation. Thanks for giving us the time, and we'll look forward to doing it again with you right back here next week.
Anytime. Thank you, Steve.
You got it. He's Jeff Erickson, folks, from rotowire.com. I think Joe Golding is walking into the building. I was hoping I could get Lane to open up the door for him. Hopefully we'll get him in. In fact, it looks like he's in. There he is. All right. Next up, Joe Golding, Lane Frank. They're going one-on-one right here, right after we get to Charlie 1 with this Sports Center update. Back here on Sports Talk, 21 past the hour as we continue. Our weekly segment with Lane Frank is up right now, brought to you by River Oaks Properties with shopping centers around El Paso. In fact, if you are looking for the best place for your business, contact River Oaks Properties because they've got them all over town, whether it's far west, far east, and northeast, all over El Paso, building communities around the city. Welcome back, Mr. Frank. How are you right now?
Great to be back, Glad to be here on a Wednesday instead of a regular Thursday. Always fun.
And look who's joining us. Look who we were able to get to pop into our 600 ESPN El Paso River Oaks Property Schoolyard Sports Studios today.
We had a few names, few ideas, and this was a great one to land on. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. He's Joe Golding, head coach of the UTEP men's basketball team, making his first ever appearance with you, Lane. I love that. Coach, great to see you. I know you're busy. You got practice officially starting next week, and now you get a chance to take your mind off of UTEP hoops for a little bit and go one-on-one with Lane.
Well, I'm honored to be with both of you. You know that. It's been a while since I've been in here, and then to be in with Lane, and obviously Mr. Rubin's been a great supporter of UTEP athletics for such a long time, and I've heard about his grandson forever. I'm a little offended that I haven't been on his famous podcast yet. Right? It's rocking and rolling out there. He's interviewing NFL players, NBA players. Steve, he doesn't have time for us, man. I guess so. I'm on the show now. Now he's going to whip my butt in this game. So
I don't know. He lost to Adrian last week.
Did he lose to Adrian?
Yeah, you have a legit.
Oh, I got a chance then.
You got a chance right now. We'll see.
So no wonder Adrian's walking around town so cocky these days, man, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly right. He should be. Yeah, that's right. He gets to have bragging rights on Lane for a week. You've got two kids that are both playing football right now, so it's kind of interesting as we get ready to pick NFL games with Lane. Talk about your two sons and how they're playing right now at Coronado.
Yeah, so I got one that's a senior, Kason Golding. He's was voted a captain this year on their team, and they're off to a 2-0 start. Had a crazy first week with a thunderstorm that blew in. A bunch of games got canceled and delayed, and they were able to pick up and play Burgess on Saturday, and then they played Andrus the following week, and then they had a bye this past week, and they played Parkland. I think this weekend it's Parkland's homecoming, and so big game for them. And then obviously we got Franklin next week, man, the big rivalry game in the Sun Bowl. And then Chase is my freshman, and Chase is up on varsity as well. They're both playing at Coronado, and so it's a great time to be a dad. Always love watching your kids play. When you have both playing together for the first time, it's a pretty special deal.
I was going to say you only get 1 year out of this, so you got to really you soak this up and enjoy it as much as possible.
Absolutely, just want to be a dad and support them, and just really happy. It's fun to sit up there on Friday nights and watch them both play, and so just it's a lot of fun being a dad right now.
When you first arrived at UTEP, did you ever think football would be the sport that the two would play together?
No. Furthest thing, right? And Kason was all basketball and really had only played around with football a little bit in junior high, but didn't play his freshman year. And then they hired Coach Pry over at Coronado, and he did a great job of walking the halls and getting a lot of energy and getting kids back in the program. And, I can't say enough about Coach Pry and his staff there. They've done a tremendous job with Kason and just turning him in from a boy to a man. Kason turned 18 this year, and that's the one bad thing about coaching. Sometimes you spend a lot of time with other people's child and not as much with yours. And so it takes a village to raise kids these days, and Coach Pride and his staff have done a tremendous job. And then you have Chase is my baseball player coming up, and so very, very supportive of Coach Pride and his staff and what they've done.
Have you had a chance to get to know the Goldings a little bit at Coronado?
Definitely, yeah, for sure. I mean, great to see them always cross the halls.
Just keep Kason out of trouble, man.
Right.
These aren't seniors, man. They turn 18, Steve. I'm having a hard time being a dad on that stuff right now.
I have a few years before I have to get to that point, but I'm already thinking about it. So, yes, I really am.
It happens in a hurry, as you know.
It sure does. All right, episode 183 dropping this week, correct?
Correct, filming right after this.
All right, good.
So a little different. Usually I pick these games on my show, then pick it here. So this is fresh for me right now.
I like that. By the way, what are you going to be talking about this week on the show?
We'll be talking college football. We'll be talking NFL, maybe a little NBA in there. Some good episodes coming up.
When college basketball starts up, you got the guy next to you. You got to get him on. We'll get a little UTEP conversation going.
We got to get one of the best college basketball coaches in the country on.
Yeah, that's right. He'll have a lot of takes, a lot of things to talk about, that's for sure. This conference realignment never stops, does it?
Hey, you're going to get me in trouble.
Just tell me it doesn't stop.
I can't talk about it.
All you got to do is say, you know what? It never stops.
That's for you guys, right? Yeah, it makes for good talk radio. I'm
does.
I'm sure your phones are buzzing and everybody's
Yes.
got an opinion of what should happen. And, Steve, I love this university. I want the best for it. And there's a lot smarter people out there than me that are going to make that decision. But hopefully we'll make the right decision. And I know we have the best president, best AD out there. And I'm sure they're working things. It's crazy right now in college athletics, the landscape. It feels like everything's done and boom,
That's right.
Who knows? We might have a different conversation tomorrow.
We very well could. Well, we're going to have a different conversation right now because you're going to be picking NFL games.
Yeah, here we go.
Starting with the Patriots and the Jets tomorrow night. It's the prime video game. Thursday night, 6:15 from Meadowlands at East Rutherford. Coach, we pick these games straight up. I give the spreads just for entertainment and information purposes only. The Jets are 6-point favorites at home over the Pats. Since you are a celebrity guest picker against Lane, you'll get first crack at this one.
Ooh, I'm going to go there Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to go there, and he got a good bounce back last week, right? They're 1-1, and so I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers back at home against the Pats.
All right, your turn, Lane.
I feel like the Patriots got really lucky in Week 1 against Cincinnati Bengals, getting that big upset. They didn't play well last week against Seattle Seahawks. Aaron Rodgers, Jets, bounced back Week 2 against the Titans after that rough loss to the 49ers in Week 1. Let's go with the Jets. I agree with Coach on this one.
All right, that takes us to the other New York team, the Giants visiting the Browns in Cleveland. The Giants are 0-2. The Browns are 1-1. Cleveland, Lane, 6.5-point favorites.
You know me, I'm a diehard Giants fan. I picked against them last week. It worked for me. I'm going to pick against them again. I think Deshaun Watson is still on a bad trajectory right now, but they won last week. Hopefully they can get another win this week, go to above 500. Browns over the Giants.
Coach, what do you think?
I think I agree with him. I'm going to go with the Browns there. The Giants aren't playing really well right now. Both of them are having quarterback problems from my research this morning.
Good. You've done good.
Haven't watched a whole lot of them, but I'm going to go with the Browns at home.
All right, then what do you think about the Packers and Titans? With the Titans 0-2, the Packers 1-1. It's in Nashville, Coach, in Tennessee, 1.5-point home favorites.
Yeah, so the quarterback for the Packers is still out, correct?
Yep.
Will he play this week?
Return to the practice today, but they don't know if he's going to have a chance to play.
Yeah, if he's not playing, I'm going to go with the Titans.
All right, what do you think, Lane?
I'm going to disagree with Coach on this one. I think a Malik Willis revenge game right here. Got traded from the Titans about 2 weeks ago. Now the Packers starting quarterback with Jordan Love out. He gets a good win right here against his former team.
See, I didn't know that little nugget.
So you got to spend more time studying.
He played. He was with Carolina,
Tennessee.
Titans,
He was drafted by Tennessee.
Right. How about that?
All right, so that'll take us to our next game, Lane. It's going to be the Bears and Colts. Bears are 1-1. They lost Sunday night. They're 0-1 on the road. The Colts are 0-2, looking for their first win of the season in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil. 1-point home favorites over the Bears.
The Bears' offense, even in the win, looked terrible. Last week looked really bad. I don't think the Bears get this one. I think Anthony Richardson played really well in Week 1, struggled a little bit in Week 2. They get it back right here. Jonathan Taylor runs all over this Bears defense. Let's go Colts.
All right, Colts for Lane. What about you, Coach?
I like it a lot better when Lane goes before me, Steve. I get a little bit more info. I'll go with the Colts too, all right? Caleb, a rookie quarterback, struggled last week, and I think people are seeing a lot of film on him now. They're going to make it tougher on him. Hard place to play. Mike Roberts, our new assistant coach, a big Colts fan, so I'll go with the Colts.
All right. You're going to like this one, Coach. Right up your alley. A couple of 2-0 teams. The Texans visiting the Vikings. They're at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. Houston, 2-point road favorites. What do you think?
Yeah, I just really like C.J. Stroud, man. I just think he's a terrific young quarterback and the future of the NFL, maybe. And Vikings had a good win against the 49ers, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that week 1
sure
or week 2?
Did.
Yeah,
week
so
two.
upset win there. So maybe their magic runs out. I don't know if they can get 2 in a row here. So I'm going to go with the Texans on the road against the Vikings.
Your Sam Darnold bet with me looks terrific. I've already pretty much conceded that 3 weeks into the season already. So you tell me, can the Vikings magic keep it going against the Texans?
I think it can. I think Sam Darnold looked really good in the first 2 weeks of the season. Justin Jefferson came down with a little injury last week, but Aaron Jones, hometown guy here in El Paso, looked for him to have a big game. 2 of the best teams in the NFL. It's what's going to be the best matchup of the week. Let's go Vikings over the Texans.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Aaron Jones.
How can we forget about
people
Aaron
in El Paso
Jones?
right now are probably crushing me out there, right? Yeah, he had a great week 1 too. Did he? How did he do last week?
He did all right. He had a key fumble late as he was going in for a touchdown that kind of gave San Francisco some momentum. He didn't play much after that, but still, he's got a little bit of an injury right now, so we got to see how healthy he's going to be.
I got a question. Would you have put Aaron Jones in the basketball team right now if he was still at Utah?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just think the guy's a winner. I think everywhere he goes. If I was Jerry Jones, which I'm not, I'm a few bucks short, but I would have Aaron Jones in that Dallas Cowboy. I heard he loves the Cowboys, right? Is that a rumor? Or somebody told me
he's always wanted to be a Cowboy.
Always wanted to be a Cowboy, and I just thought the timing of leaving Green would have been perfect. But yes, absolutely, I would love to have Aaron Jones.
He played for a little bit, right?
He did. He actually played for Tim Floyd. Him and his brother. Really? They both played for Tim Floyd. Games. They were short players that year, so they got a couple of football players, and Aaron actually saw the court and played in those games.
Oh, well, I mean, obviously in the NFL, he's an incredible athlete.
Definitely.
No doubt. All right, next up, we've got the Eagles and the Saints. Lane, the Saints are 2-0. The Eagles are 1-1 coming off that Monday night loss to Atlanta. It's at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, and the Saints are 2.5-point home favorites.
I'm trying not to overreact, but the Saints might be the best team in the NFL. The way they've shown the first 2 weeks, they've scored on every single drive that Derek Carr has been their quarterback. They're on fire, killing the Cowboys last week. Eagles just blew the game away on Monday Night Football to Kirk Cousins, which was like his first primetime win of his career. I'm going to go with the Saints over the Eagles.
All right, Saints are looking good, Coach. Can they make it 3 in a row?
Terrific last week, did they not? Against the Cowboys. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to go with the Saints at home against the Eagles. I would love for the Eagles to start off 1-2, too. That would be great. I'm not a big Eagles fan, so I'm going with the Saints there.
All right, that'll get us to the Chargers and Steelers, a battle of 2-0 teams as we hit the bottom of the hour. Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. The Steelers, 1.5-point home favorites over the Chargers, Coach.
That's a tough one. Mike Tomlin, who I think might be the best coach in the NFL, just does a terrific job every year with the Steelers. Justin Fields is doing a great job. Chargers, is that Harbaugh?
That is Harbaugh. Yes, former Michigan coach.
Harbaugh's 2-0 already, huh?
Yes.
Guy can coach. I'm going with Pittsburgh at home.
All right. What do you think, Lane?
I'm going to disagree on this one. Jim Harbaugh hasn't lost a game since December 31st, 2022, when they lost TCU in the college ball playoff. Keeps it going, 3-0 in the NFL, Los Angeles Chargers.
The reason he picked that is because prior to the Chargers, he was in Michigan, won the national championship. That's where Lane is expecting to go to school.
That's right.
That's not overreact.
What's that?
Let's not overreact.
No, that's not an overreaction.
I'm only a junior. Let's not overreact.
Well, so you're saying you still have time? You're still opening your recruiting?
Don't count all your eggs before they hatch.
Really?
Let's see. This
is news. You've told us since you were 14 that you're going to Michigan.
I still want to go to Michigan. That's still the goal.
Wasn't Duke in the conversation at one time as well?
My brothers go to Duke.
Your brother goes to Duke.
They're still in the conversation, from what I know.
They're still in the conversation.
Yes.
We have this conversation every week, Steve.
We do.
Well, Michigan's football team, they might be going the wrong direction now.
Unfortunately.
Harbaugh. Maybe we want to go to a different school, Steve.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Duke football, a pretty good record.
Duke has a very good record right now. Oh, look at this. I think I feel like we're starting to see a little bit right now. I like this. All right, Browns and Bucks are next, Lane. The Broncos are winless in 2 games. The Bucks are 2-0, 1-0 at home. They're 6.5-point favorites over the Denver.
Yeah, Bo Nix looks rattled. Doesn't look ready to be an NFL quarterback. Buccaneers have a good defense. Baker Mayfield's been playing great. Bucks over the Broncos.
I agree 100% with Lane right here. I'm going Bucks. I haven't been impressed with the Broncos. Obviously, rookie quarterback again with Bo Nix and Baker. What a story, right? Just an incredible story of him finding the right team and is playing great football. So Baker Mayfield and the Bucks.
We have a quarterback change in our next game as the Panthers have gotten away from Bryce Young. The Raiders are going to be hosting the Panthers this week in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Vegas 1-1. The Panthers are winless right now. They're going to go to an interesting pick, one that hasn't played in the NFL in a few years, but still a former Cowboy quarterback, a former Bengals quarterback too, one of the veterans of the game. His name escapes me.
Andy Dalton.
Thank you, Andy Dalton. It's so easy to forget to Andy Dalton. Can he get the magic going, Coach, since they are 5-point underdogs in Vegas?
Andy Dalton was former TCU quarterback.
Yes, he was. That's right.
Yeah.
TCU, the Bengals, the Cowboys. He's bounced around. Now he's with the Panthers.
But he's not going to get it done Sunday. Going with the Raiders.
All right, what do you think, Lane?
I'm good with Minshew Mania. Gardner Minshew and the Raiders played well last week. Good upset over the Ravens. Panthers aren't a serious football team right now. They haven't landed a good head coach in years. I think Dave Canales is still not a serious NFL head coach. Andy Dalton, it's a joke that Andy Dalton's starting.
Go ahead.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. I think Andy Dalton isn't a serious NFL quarterback. For Bryce Young, he needs to get as many reps as possible, and they're not giving that opportunity. Let's go Raiders over the Panthers.
Didn't Andy Dalton throw for over 300 yards last year in like one of the best games of the season for Carolina when he was quarterbacking?
Wasn't Bryce Young the number 1 overall pick, and Andy Dalton's a 10-year veteran?
Yes.
Isn't Andy Dalton pretty much a bust at this point?
Well, I don't know if he's a bust. He's a backup.
Doesn't Bryce Young still have a lot of potential?
Tons.
I'd rather play Bryce Young if I was the Panthers.
So you'd rather play potential and lose than go with maybe a veteran that could win?
I would.
Oh, interesting. Let's see. He's so sure. I like one of the reasons I like bringing Lane on.
I don't think either are good options.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, what's Bryce Young's? I saw something this morning when I was researching. He's like 2-16.
Oh, he's been horrible
as a starter. So eventually you probably lose the locker room a little bit if you don't try something else. But I don't know.
Don't want to lose the locker room.
I agree, Lane, on both. I think they're both bad options right now.
Right. All right, let's talk about the Dolphins and the Seahawks. That's next. Dolphins are 1-1. Seahawks are 2-0. This game in Lumen Field in Seattle. The Seahawks, 4-point favorites. Lane, what do you think is going to happen?
Look, the Dolphins don't have a serious backup quarterback, and that's Skylar Thompson, who's going to play in this game. Skylar Thompson wasn't that good in college, isn't that good in the NFL. Mike McDonald will slice and dice the Dolphins. Seahawks head coach, rookie head coach, goes 3-0.
All right, 3-0 with Geno Smith. What do you think?
I agree. I'm going to go. I got the chance to hang out with Coach Carroll this summer, man, and just really enjoyed him and talking Seahawks football. And I know how much he respects that franchise. And I'm going to go with Coach Carroll right here. I know he's retired, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks right here at home.
Follow that up with the Cowboys hosting the Ravens. It's a 2:25 game on Fox. Cowboys are 1-1. Ravens are winless in 2 games. Baltimore 1-point road favorites, Coach.
Yeah, I'm a Cowboy fan, Steve, but we got to play better than we did last week. We got embarrassed at home by the Saints. Obviously, defense looked terrible. Offense wasn't much better. Ravens, expected to be a chance at Super Bowl team, correct? And they're 0-2 right now. Their backs against the wall. It's probably like a must-win for them, they think, early in the year. But I'm going with the Cowboys, man. I can't be on a show and bet against the Cowboys here. So at home, bounce-back game. Coach Zimmer will get them ready on the defensive end. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Lane, can the Ravens start the season 0-3?
So this is a really tough situation for both teams. Ravens desperately need to win because they're a Super Bowl contender, like you said. And if they start at 0-3, that's horrible. Same for the Cowboys. So they go to win, too. That's not good either. I'm going to go with the Ravens over the Cowboys. I just think this Cowboys defense isn't ready yet without Dan Quinn. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, hopefully they can get him some more carries. And I still think this defense, the Ravens, new defense coordinator, figuring things out. They're going to play well this week. They get the win over the Cowboys.
All right. To follow that up with the 49ers and the Rams. Rams are winless in 2 games. The Niners are 1-1. San Francisco 7-point road favorites at SoFi.
Rams looked horrible last week. I was so surprised by that. I thought they looked pretty good in week 1 until overtime against the Lions. Then last week you got absolutely dominated by Arizona. Not really a dominating team in the past, the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to go with the Niners, one of the best teams in the NFL, over the Rams.
All right, what do you think, Coach?
I agree. I think the Niners bounce back. They obviously lost a tough one last week. I think they go on the road here and get to 2-1, so I'm going the 49ers.
Fun game with the Lions and Cardinals, a couple of 1-1 teams battling in Glendale. Detroit 3-point road favorites.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jared Goff here. He used to play for my brother-in-law at Cal. Good quarterback. Had a great season last year. I think they go on the road right here, and they take care of the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going with the Lions.
All right, plus Jared Goff and Joe Golding both have the same initials. I could understand the similarities.
Yeah.
What do you think there, Lane?
Lions really got away from their identity last week. They let Jared Goff throw the ball about 50 times. You have 2 great running backs, a receiving back in Jahmyr Gibbs and a power back in David Montgomery, and they got away from that. But I think Dan Campbell gets the guys right, and they get a win down in Arizona.
All right, so that takes us now to our final 3 games. Let's talk of the Sunday night game, Chiefs and Falcons. Chiefs have been in a couple of nail-biters, but they're 2-0. Falcons are 1-1 on the season. This one at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Kansas City, a 3.5-point favorite, Lane.
Look, the Chiefs haven't been perfect to start the season, but they've been good enough, and I think they still stay good enough, and they get a win over here with the Falcons.
All right, Coach, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going against Pat Mahomes, although I did in my research again this morning that a lot of people are high on the Falcons right now, which I didn't know about, and obviously had a great win, and a lot of people are but I think Mahomes here, I think they get to 3-0, and they go in there with a big win.
2 games on Monday night, the early game, Jags and Bills. Buffalo's 2-0, Jacksonville's 0-2. Buffalo 5-point favorites at Orchard Park, Coach.
Bills.
All right, what do you think, Lane?
Trevor Lawrence has been so disappointing in his NFL career. A guy who we thought coming out of college could be the next Peyton Manning, next Brady. He's been nothing so far compared to those guys. I'm good with the Bills over the Jaguars.
Final game, Commanders and Bengals. Cincinnati winless, 0-2 on the season. Commanders are 1-1. Games in Cincinnati, Bengals 7.5-point favorites.
Bengals unlucky in the first 2 weeks, especially last week. Now you get a really easy game right here against a young quarterback. Commanders, let's go with the Bengals.
All right, Coach.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest one we've had to pick, right?
I think it is.
Joe Burrow being 0-2, I think they're going to get the win at home against Washington Commanders, so Cincy.
You both both picked every game right except the same but 4. So since there are 4 games you've disagreed on and we could have you split 2 and 2, let's play a tiebreaker this week. Total points scored in that Ravens-Cowboys game. The total line right now is 48.5. So, Coach, give me a total points for the Ravens and the Cowboys.
Total points?
Yes.
50.
All right. 50 for Coach. What about you, Lane?
Look, I see an opportunity right here. 2 new defense coordinators. I see big offenses right here. I'm going to go 62.
All right. We've got you down. Excellent. Good job, everybody. Very nice. We'll come back, wrap things up with Coach Golding and Lane Frank as SportsTalk gets you ready for UTEP football with Scotty Walden and John Teicher. It's coming up in 20 minutes from Border City Yale House right here, 600 ESPN El Paso. Little countdown here as we continue on Sports Talk. UTEP basketball coach Joe Golding, Lane Frank. John Teicher is going to be coming up top of the hour. UTEP football with Scotty Walden. John, you'll be doing this with Coach Golding soon enough as we transition to basketball season in a couple months.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm sorry I'm not going to be doing that exhibition in Albuquerque, but we'll have some exciting news as we get a little bit closer as to how that's going to come down. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's busy now with football, and it's going to get even busier over the next month as basketball ramps up. We
got to get you back picking against Lane like you did last year. Coach Golding just took his best shot at Lane a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard some of that, and some of the analysis there on Golding's part was a little bit shaky. But what do you expect?
I'm a lot better, Tice, when I have your cliff notes before I go on air.
I love it. Lane, I'll ask you. You got Coach Golding here right now. Basketball season, the practice starts next week officially, and he'll be getting busy because games are right around the corner. They got the exhibition against New Mexico and Albuquerque, and then season starts up in early November. What's the one question you're thinking about with Coach Golding right now with this UTEP basketball team?
How can we get a bigger crowd just from winning games? And also, we have the football team get a big crowd in the Southern Utah game. If we can bring that to basketball, get big crowds. I remember the New Mexico State game, I think it was your first year, second year, getting a big crowd, win that game, just keeping that up.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, obviously the crowd plays a big part. We're trying to do our part this summer. We were in the community a lot. I think, we play a role in that. I think having 9 guys back, scholarship guys back, plays a big part. I think our fans really know our guys now. Some of our guys have been here 4 years, 3 years, obviously some going on 2, and I think that plays a big part. Winning always helps. But, we have to continue to encourage our crowd. There's a direct correlation in wins and losses with crowd size, right? And there's no tougher place to play than the Don Haskins Center when it's packed and it's loud and it's rowdy. And so I feel like we have one of the best home court advantages in the country. So, again, we have to put a good product on the floor. We have to do our job. This year's a little unique for us. And anytime I've been here, I think, if memory serves me correct, we have 5 of our first 7 at home. This year to start. We've been on the road, and we've struggled to win on the road last year, obviously. And so being at home, hopefully we can get some momentum going early in conference play. But like our schedule, man, I'm excited about it. Obviously, the exhibition against New Mexico. We're also going to announce something next week that I think everybody's going to be really, really excited about. It's the first time we've ever done this, and I think that news will be really exciting for our fans and obviously for our neighboring country of Mexico. And so, again, just trying to do some stuff with them, and again, excited about the season.
Oh, that's awesome!
You're going to be excited about it. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool.
It sounds excellent. Hey, by the way, we never got a chance to ask you on the air about what the trip was like for you to be with the military, coach, members of our service team against each other, go up head-to-head with Tim Floyd, and you mentioned Pete Carroll and some of the others that were there. I know Greg Foster was there as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Greg. We were called the Tim Floyd Mafia. They all had a connection, but I actually have a shirt that Tim Floyd. I'll save it forever. But incredible experience, obviously, to be around coaches that have won Super Bowls and played in Final Fours. John Brady at LSU, just to get their knowledge. Tim Floyd, obviously Greg Foster, NBA player. We all know about what Coach Floyd's done and what he feels about UTEP and his love for this place. But just to listen to them and tell stories, and then obviously to hang around our military, was just completely blown away by what they do and their sacrifice for our country. So it was just an incredible experience, a lifetime opportunity for me to go experiencing that. So just very thankful to have that.
What about Pete Carroll coaching basketball? What was that like?
Yeah, he loved it actually, but he was overcoaching, like we told him. He was really big on changing from 1-3-1 to 2-3, and then he had about 3 different plays, and so he was just trying to change all the time and disrupt rhythm. And we told him that the best thing, just like football, probably is simplify. Right? Sometimes we overcoach and we do too much in the simple basketball. But Coach Carroll went 2-2, I believe, on the trip, and had a big win against John Brady. And the Floyd Golding battle was a classic. It came down. I had I think I was up 13-8, high scoring affair with about 2.5-3 minutes to go, and they go on a 5-0 run, tie the sucker up. Then they score with about 10 seconds left, and we come down. And anyways, we beat him at the buzzer, which was great. So I got bragging rights forever. I'll never play against him.
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
1-0. Yeah, I'll tell everybody. Yeah, he gets sick of me. I text him pretty much every morning. Just say 1-0.
Just don't bring up Steve around Coach Floyd.
No, we're good now. We're good.
Okay.
We've made amends. We made amends during the Haskins the statue. We're everything's good now. I'm
I
telling
didn't know
you.
that. Okay.
Oh yeah, I didn't.
Nice.
Well, were you there that day? Were you around for the statue dedication?
What month was it?
It was February of last year.
I don't think
right when the 84-85 team was coming down for the reunion, or the 83-84 team.
Maybe I was out of town. I'm not sure.
You might have been. You might have been in a tennis tournament or something like that.
In fact, I saw a couple of people out there today taking a picture. I know you played a big role in that, but that's just it needed to happen, and it's really cool, to see people go by, especially during basketball season, but even in the off season, people going by and honoring Coach.
I love it. I love that statue. Yeah. I think it's fantastic.
Now the problem is every day I walk in the office, I feel like he's looking at me, which he probably is.
Do you have that? Do you have that big portrait of him that staring at you in the office, like I know Keitha does, the one where it looks like he's pissed and he's ready to just chew you out?
Yeah, and they're down the hallway of the Dawn. It's still those original, pictures of him that are hanging at the Dawn. So I can't get away from him. He's just always looking at you, staring at you. So, but golly, one of the just incredible coach, man, incredible person. Obviously, did a lot for this city and this university. He deserves to be honored anyway. And obviously, that statue was. That thing ain't going anywhere. It weighs a bunch.
That's exactly.
It's going to be there for a long time.
Yes, it is. Yes,
and
it
rightfully
is.
so.
Awesome.
And rightfully so.
Coach, come back and see us. It's great having you on the show. And Lane, good luck against Coach. Are you guys gonna what's on the line here with this week in these games? What are we gonna wager? Anything?
I'll let you pick that one.
Well, me pick that
one.
You
pick it. I picked last week.
Hey, I'm going to put a little pressure too on Lane. Okay. I'll put him on the spot on the radio. We got an announcement out of our program tomorrow that I'm excited about, and so we're doing some new things. But one's going to be a podcast that we're going to do this season.
Really?
So we're going to keep people like with our players and obviously former players and coaches and then people in the community like yourself. We're going to do podcasts, and so maybe we can have Lane come on, and especially one time Lane and I can get together on that podcast, and then maybe he can teach us a few tricks as well.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be awesome.
He's got a few tricks. Trust me, I see it when I watch that.
He's doing a tremendous job. Obviously, has a bright future. I know how what you think about him. You talk about him all the time. So you got a great mentor there too.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job, everybody. We'll talk to you again next week, Lane. Thanks for dropping in. We'll see you soon.
See you.
Coach, you as well. John Teicher's next, folks. Get ready. UTEP football with Scotty Walden. It's coming up right here, top of the hour, 600 ESPN El Paso.